Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Trent Russell. I'm the tech sales instructor at Course Careers. Today, we are highlighting Shu and his story breaking into tech, making the big bucks, living in New York City. You identified a company you wanted to work for. You did your research by seeing that they were hiring. You identified this VP of sales. You found his number, and then you cold called him directly to then get an interview.
Correct. Yeah.
That's incredible. I think a lot of people can learn from that because there's the front door where you just apply to companies, and then there's a back door which requires creativity. To your point, so
Mm.
that's a great example, Shu. I hope everyone can make a note of that and learn from that and start applying that today. How long did it take you from the time you completed the course to then landing the job? Can you just talk about that? I know you mentioned the step by step
Mhm.
process. Just what did timelines look like? Because I think that's important to talk about.
Yes. So for me, I think I took a little bit longer than the people or alumni I talked to and the people that I actually connected throughout the course when I started taking the course too. But I finished the course in December, at the end of December. So I started my job hunt around January, and then I finally started or transitioned into the role in April. So one of the things that I learned is I've been doing like three different strategies when I was going into these interviews and stuff. And for my first strategy, I was honestly just trying out things at the moment because I wasn't in a rush to try to land a job versus like I wanted to land in a job where I know that I can feel or I can go into a role where I can, truly succeed. So yeah, so first approach that I had was me going into just applying to jobs normally. So like you go through the website and then just click on it and then just apply, put in your resume. That didn't work out. I've been doing it for like 2 to 3 weeks. And the first January, that didn't work out at all. So then I changed my second approach, which was okay, like why don't I send a direct message or email to them? And that's all I did for another month. The response rate was less than 1%. So out of like 100% that I engaged into. So that didn't work out. And the third one that really worked out for me, this one was really simple, but really creative for me. I generally just started to think like, if I really wanted to get in front of the door and talk to these people, like just talk to them on LinkedIn. Like that's what I thought. And then what I did is I started making a more of a creative approach to my LinkedIn Connect request, and I was able to get a response rate over 60% from these. Let's just say from out of 100% that I've been doing, a 60% respond rate, and that led me ultimately to generally making more interviews. And I've been actually so when I say about interviews, landing those interviews and actually getting the job, it was actually like I was actually only making like one or two interviews in the first 2 months. And then all of a sudden, going into March, I was landing more than 15 interviews in 1 or 2 weeks. So, I think it's just like it's your creativity too, but also like if you were the other person on the other side, how do you want to get your message across? Like, what are you capable of? What did you learn from course careers? And what other experiences in your background from your previous experiences that you can generally transition over. And if you can highlight those and identify those, people will be hooked onto it for sure.
What was the most challenging part of this interview application process? It sounds like it was really slow the first few months, and then you
Mm.
tweaked your LinkedIn strategy of perhaps a connection request message, personalizing it, whatever it may be. What was overall, as you look back, the most challenging part about landing the job?
I think a lot of people will feel this, and I like to be honest as much as possible. But I think it was a rejection. And then like what's interesting about this is when you're actually applying to these jobs, it's so interesting. It's like you're already doing the job, like as a BDR or sales development role. So I kind of took it as that approach where it's more like a challenge. And yeah, so the rejection was the biggest part, but I think it's how you overcome it and how you keep yourself mentally prepared for the next one. Because I realized that, in this space where tech sales is getting more and more popular and it's becoming more of a thing where most people want to go into the role, you have to, realize and like identify yourself as like, okay, how am I going to be different from the other people that are trying to go into this space? That's what the biggest key challenge for me was.